everybody. As we get into this morning live on this Tuesday morning, let's just go over a quick overview of what I would like to discuss and the direction I'd like to take this live. I want to go over XRP. We'll look at the liquidity zones that we're kind of trapped in between that expand from about that $1.43 resistance down to about $1.36 and a half within this liquidity box we're over the top of right now, which is very important for a continuation move. We look at this in a very, very direct order of not just what we're seeing within the possible breakdown, but also where we can go into expansion here. We still have in the futures market, or at least on the futures chart for XRP, it still points to about that $1.53 area. So I believe that's going to be a very, very direct area we're going to look at this morning. We came back down and retested a small support tap, but we'll get into all of this. We'll take a look at what zone we're trying to hold and what the pros and cons are of doing each of these things. Right now, we're trying to bounce off of the lower liquidity box, which is absolutely imperative for us to hold this area and then start breaking through to start pushing out up to higher targets. So that's definitely an area that we're going to have to watch together here. We'll see how many people end up showing up for this morning live. As my content, as you guys know, it's very hard for it to go out. I get shadow banned, and they're only recommending my content at a 1.6% clip, which is extremely low, and a little disheartening, but at the same time, you know, but no matter how many people we get in here, we'll direct it at the core members. We'll try to do a spot-on analysis, and then hopefully in time, more and more people will start to follow the community. But if not, it's completely understandable. I put out a shorter video of about 10 to 11 minutes. So if you don't have time to watch the live, I'm going to start to put out videos like that. It might constrict the content a little bit because there's already been, this will be the third piece of content. I had a short this morning at about 7:50. Put out the other piece of content around 9:25-ish. And then this live started at 10:30. So you're going to get it from all angles. And then we'll just have to deal with, you know, how many people are able to join in during the live and how many people see this, as I can definitely tell the content's getting hit pretty hard now. As I used to be recommended at a much higher clip, but recently the recommendation's 1.6%. I mean, it's a slap in the face. So I do appreciate everybody who finds their way in here. It helps more than you could ever know when you like these videos and share them, especially the live, so more people can see it. So with that being said, let's timestamp this for a point of reference. Good morning, 10:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Don't read into it too much if I'm not talking about the comments early on in these lives now. I'm going to start to go about 20 minutes before I even start acknowledging who's in here, because I want to get this going in the proper context, and I don't want to be hindered by who may or may not be here, or based on what everybody's saying, whether good or bad. I'd rather do this in a way where you can hear exactly what I'm thinking, and then we can have a very, very active discussion as we go on. Right now, XRP's bounced off this lower liquidity box, which is a very good sign if we want to have a continuation. Yes, we're rather overextended in the 4-hourly, but we haven't finished off the technical move. As long as we don't invalidate it from a downward pull, we haven't finished off the integrity of this move or the entirety of it. I'm looking at a few different areas to see if we can get a guiding stone. XDC came up and now it's reversed in the 4-hourly, which is necessary to try to clear off some steam and see if we're in fact going to be able to push out of these areas. Is it possible we built a head and shoulders? It is, even across the rest of the board. But we have to see how we react between this 10:30 and 12 o'clock time frame. So that's why I found it imperative this morning, at least, to come on at this time. But I don't want to talk about another asset right now. You can always super chat or, you know, find a strategic way for me to talk about other things. But as it is, we're going to have to be very defined in our order, because this is about XRP. I have a triple X HA plus V strategy that is not fully implemented because we're not at the appropriate time. I think that there's strength in numbers by not having so many different assets, especially in a swing trading moment where we don't have any certainty, but there's definitely opportunity here. So don't think that the opportunity hasn't been had. We talked about the opportunity coming out of the weekend. Now it's just a matter of, is this building a right shoulder? It came up exactly where I built that right shoulder area. So now it's up to the market now to define it in a way of rejection or a way of continuation. And the only way really to continue out of this for Bitcoin is to get up and over the head at around 74K and invalidate this. But at the minimum, we want to start seeing Bitcoin holding that 70,500. We want to see XRP start coming up and play off of this futures consolidation and see if we can in fact push that almost $1.53. It's about $1.52.5 on this chart, and that would be the 200-day resistance in the 4-hour time frame. And we do have a breakout of a descending wedge. It's very clearly seen in the CME chart, which is just the XRP futures chart. Ooh, we got some very noisy Blue Jays behind me. But it's defined by the futures chart. And this gives us a lot of information. As long as that descending wedge doesn't break down, we have a better than not chance to break out here to that $1.52. Could we come back and test again? We could, but we're not really looking at a complete pullback down here if we can avoid it. That's not exactly what we want to do. However, I'm not oblivious to the fact that we did come down, consolidated, and now we very well might have this measurement that we can take out. We're retesting the drop point, so in order for it to come back up appropriately, you want to take out this level, but first of all, we've got to come back up above this 50% retracement area. So we came down in totality about 3.5 cents to $1.38.8, which means we want to get back above about $1.40.5, $1.40.3 to 0.5 to get back above, which would be actually $1.40.75 would make more sense. Get back on top of this area. And then start moving back in more of a majestic way. But we won't know anything until this morning continues to push through. We don't know if we're coming up to a rejection area here with Bitcoin and XRP and coming down to more liquidity, or if we just needed to re-expand into that liquidity box and take a little bit of a downward tug here and then try to push our way out. And then ultimately we're going to want to take this area back over because that's the short-term movement, and then expand through. So we've got a little bit of an area of concern, but as of right now, if you were looking for an identifiable move, you would have looked back to retest that liquidity box below and try to prove that it's an overwhelming support area. So it's things that need to happen in the flow of the moment. So right now I'm seeing exactly what needs to be done. We came back down and retested some of these areas. Now, could we be getting a little bit overexpanded? We very well could, but only time will tell. A great sign would be Bitcoin holding 70,000 area and then pushing past 70,500. Seeing XRP reverse as strongly as it has after going down to that $1.38.5 is a good sign as well. So I'm pretty happy about seeing that, at least in the short term. So we will we'll definitely be building a narrative here this morning. There is no doubt about that. So far, so good. So far, so good. Coming up like this is what we want to see this morning. We're absolutely reversed completely. Put in a little bit of a double bottom here. So let's see if we can start riding the wave of momentum. This looks like a reversal candle perfectly. So let's just see if we can ride this little wave up. It should come up at least to the 200-day if this continues. Can we guarantee that? No. But what we want to see is a volume spike. I know there hasn't been a lot of volume to say of sorts, but we've talked about this until we're blue in the face. This isn't going to be a volume push-up. This would be a volumeless push-up and would happen relatively quickly, as you're seeing right now. So it's not going to be about the volume. If everybody's just looking for a bunch of volume, you're going to miss this move. It's not about the volume. It's about the fact that there won't be as much trading from a selling perspective in the trading algorithm. So they basically shut off the sells and they allow the buys to just capitulate up. And that's what you're seeing right now in real time. So, you know, it's momentary. You have to make a momentary decision, and you want to make these decisions before the breakout so that you don't get caught in a liquidity squeeze like we had this morning. So I'm very interested to see how this morning goes. We know we have the CPI data that's going to be released tomorrow. So it was my understanding that if we were going to get some kind of volatility upside, it would happen before that CPI is released. So, and then it'll decide whether or not it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event when the CPI comes out. We'll see if it comes up or below the anticipated targets. And that's really going to tell us a lot as well. So that's where we're at in the movement right now this morning. So as of right now, XRP's up 4% on the day. It's following pretty much perfectly what we've been anticipating, because we have come outside of these descending wedges, which are bullish continuation patterns. And yes, there is areas of liquidity you have to deal with, but if you just take out the noise and look at it this way, this is the futures chart, and this is the one that will direct us at the end of the day. We don't have to watch a lot of the noise of the weekend. And we could see we opened up and we pushed out perfectly. Now to come up in this particular chart, it's speaking of $1.53. So that's where our anticipated move would be. Now, does that mean there's not going to be more liquidity on the way? Does that mean we can't come back and backtest areas like we've seen along the way, how we came down to $1.38.5 briefly? No. In fact, if you want to have a stronger move, this is exactly how it needs to play out. There's no other way to put it. It needs to have these areas of consolidation because it clears out the short-term momentum, and then it allows you to have these gigantic movements back up like we've seen in the last about 25 minutes or so. That's been nothing short of spectacular how it's moved down from that bottom, and now it's gone up 2.75% in about the last 25 minutes. So these are liquidity sweeps. These are hunting stop losses, hunting the leverage traders. So a lot of liquidity was built just by coming down the few percent, tapping down near the $1.38 level. Now it pushed up back to the liquidity box. Now in real time, you might get a push back to $1.40. You might retest to make sure that this is angled up. We've got 17 minutes and we want to see how this plays out. So could we get some volatility at the end of this candle? We could. But right now I'm liking exactly what I'm seeing. So this is the proper objective here of what we want to see from this consolidation and re-break back up. That's why in the title today I said XRP liquidity trap, major resistance rejection, is a massive crash next, because you have to ask yourself that question. But as of right now, I doubt it. I don't think the major crash is about to happen just yet. We can always be surprised. But to answer that question right off the bat, I don't think that's what's building yet. In fact, it's the exact same thing I've been talking about for days and days and days. I think with this back test that we've had now, that this is the perfect opportunity for this to make a majestic movement and start to come up towards that $1.52. And by no means does that mean it can't come farther back down, or that it's just going to guarantee push up. But we've got a golden cross here in the 45. We back tested 3 times on the 200, which would start to lead to a narrative that we're getting close to a farther push out here. So, but I'm not oblivious to the fact that some of the shorter time frames needed to clear out, which they've done in some cases. I'm also not oblivious to the fact that we could retest this initial movement back out. So since we came from $1.38.25 at the swing low back up to about $1.42.30, that would leave an area between about $1.39.75 and $1.40.30 if it wants to come and retest the initial strength out of here. Now, if we go unabated and we get above $1.43, now all of a sudden we start to talk about, okay, let's see if we can just start moving back up without any kind of further retracement. But we always have to be open to the idea of, okay, we've moved up, now we're going to retest at 50% and then see how strong we really are out of this next movement out. So as far as from a perspective of what you want to see after a push up like we had overnight, you want to see us clear during the New York times and then hold. So that's what we're trying to do right now. That 10:30 to 12 o'clock time is going to be the most volatile when it comes to price movement. And it's going to build a real unified direction here as the day goes on. Don't necessarily look for that volume, because these end up being volumeless push-ups, at least in the part of the moment that they're in. So we're not looking for an advancement of volume. What we're looking for, in fact, is a confirmed hold of these areas, which we're getting right now. This is perfect right now. Like, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This is absolutely stellar what we're seeing right now. Unless it gives way in a big way, I mean, we're doing exactly what we need to do, and I wouldn't tell you that unless it was true. I just know that there is the opportunity for it to kind of go around like a ping pong ball right now. So, you know, it's going to take an understanding of where we're at in the actual chart. That's why I like the futures market right now. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. And if you're talking about a back test of a potential neckline here, we're already starting to do that because the shoulder resistance coming back up. Did we hit it 100%? Not necessarily, but it's held on to this, in my opinion, just the way you want to. Now, some will say, well, Tom, can't you come over here and start building a lower neckline? Absolutely. You could absolutely do something like that as well. So we'll keep the layers out just in case. But right now it's starting to push up in a perfect fashion. I'm just saying it's pushing up in a very nice way. Nice reversal on the hourly. 45 clears out nicely. 2 hourly, yes, it's towards the oversold, but it's put in a beautiful reversal here right now. And yes, there's still a lot of time in this candle. I understand that. But if you're looking for momentum to be building, right now it's building that momentum properly. It is what it is. There's no reason to fight it. You've got algo up 6% now, bouncing off that inverted pattern perfectly. So, you know, everything's doing exactly what it's supposed to. The target's up at 943. So I'm not seeing anything that changes my mind based on what we were seeing coming into the last couple of days. I'm really not. XDC, could you say that there's an opportunity here now that we see the rest of the market continuing? I mean, yeah, there is an opportunity. It's just a matter of if it's going to take grip. So I personally like seeing what I'm seeing right now within the market. It's trying to build some kind of support structure. And look how fast we're building up. These are quick push ups if they in fact do start building. It's not going to be slow. So now we're kind of caught in that little in-between. So if we can get past the in-between, we're going to cook here a little bit. The Dow reversed big time. It had a big drop-off this morning, but now it's up 150, 15 up on the NASDAQ, 96 up on the NASDAQ, 15 up on the S&P. So these are doing what we would like to see. There's no doubt about that. When it comes to oil, oil's down, and that's because Trump came out and said this war looks like it's going to end quicker than he thought because they're starting to tap in and they're starting to put the appearance of manipulation into the markets, even though the charts are speaking for themselves. We never thought WTI was just going to go unabated. I gave the warning out. It doesn't matter how fast something goes up, it always backtests the original move out. So just because they put a big parabolic spike, typically it should backtest this movement to confirm the breakout of the descending wedge. I mean, that's typically what happens. Is it going to happen completely? Only time will tell. But we've had a better than $43 per barrel shakedown, which has been the biggest drop-off in pretty much the history of oil in a 1 day or 2 day period after it hit a big top. So that money now can bind itself into cryptocurrency, which is actually a nice measurement because now you're starting to get some money that's going to have to find yield, and it's finding its way out of one market and finding its way into another. And cryptocurrency right now is absolutely having a nice little movement here, and it's kind of nice to see. Actually, it's nice to see how the market XLM's up 9% this morning. So yeah, we're having some great movement here this morning. XLM coming up into that, well, the 17.4 cent range. We broke out of a symmetrical triangle. So we're coming up to the next major resistance that we have over the top around 16.6. So, I mean, the markets, are we being surprised by it? I would say it's quite the opposite. We've just rolled with the market. We're not surprised. We just want to see where the next adaptation happens now. If you look at the rest of the market, how it came down, in the 4 hourlies, they never gave it back. Strong wick up, pull back down, another push up to a new high. So we are rather overbought, so we always have to watch that, but that's not a big deal to me. If you're overbought, that just means you have buyers in the area. And until it gives way, you get these big movements. That's just the way it works. You know, we don't need to fight it. That's just how it works. So whether you're in it or not, at least acknowledge the fact that right now we're in somewhat of a little bullish bounce here. The market's set up in a bullish way for the short term. And there's still a lot of work to be done before we can break out into a bona fide bull market Right now, I would say probably one that's behind. Not saying it's going to break out, but V chain seems to be a little bit behind. Shoulder, head, shoulder. Came down and back tested. In fact, came through here. Held the swing low, and now we pushed into a new high, which is very important for a continuation. So 2 hourly looks like it's putting in a reversal. And now it looks like we've still got room to come over the top just to kind of catch up here. So I'm trying to watch the market unilaterally, how it's shaking and baking. So it's a little bit behind now. Some of them are a little bit behind what XRP is doing right now. There's no doubt about that, as XRP's pushed well over the 200-day, back into the bearish confirmation zone if we break it. But if we get on top of it, that's a nice flip of support into or resistance into support. So we're starting to cook here just a little bit in this morning session. So now we try to find opportunity. XDC, with where it's at right now, well below the rest of the market, looks like it's trying to build in this reversal. And as of right now, I would say we're still in a very, it's an interesting area, but it still has an opportunity. This is the third candle in a row. So if you look at what's happened with like XLM, XRP, we've got XLM here. After it had this candle reversal down, the next candle was up. So are we looking at the next thing for XDC? Would be we're trying to hold the reversal. Same here, down, down, reversal candle. And then it pushed up. And now for XDC, we have down, down. Is this the reversal candle finally? Where now it's going to do what the rest of the market does, but it's 1 day behind. Starting to think yes. But obviously there's no confluency yet. But I would definitely pay attention to that. With V-Chain, I would definitely pay attention to the fact that it's had the reversal but not the breakout. So when it comes to the rest of the market, you've had a lot of them. Even the H-bar is looking a little different than some, but it's had starting this reversal. And you've seen these reversal candles tend to get a little bit volatile once they start to get their movement. And XRP, XLM, Algo has had these upward volatility spikes now. But then when you look at something like XDC, how it hasn't had the technical reversal yet, but it's starting to try to build the reversal in real time, which would mean the next candle would be the big spike if it's going to happen. V-Chain's on that moment, which means if it's going to do what the rest does, it's going to have a volatile swing up here and at some point here in the morning. So I'd say V-Chain, especially XDC, if you're looking at it from a standpoint of maybe it's behind, could be an opportunity for some. So it's not a guarantee, but it definitely could be some kind of volatility that's to come. I think V-Chain's in a better than not spot for that exact same volatility. So, you know, we'll see what happens as the day goes on, but I'm definitely liking where they're sitting in comparison to some others with the movement they've already had. So yeah, that's just my perspective here. Am I right or wrong? We won't know. But so far, so good when it comes to with the way the rest of the market's been moving. And I'm pretty happy with the way we've diagnosed it, to be honest. Actually really excited about that because we diagnosed this before the movements. So it gives us the ability to see this at a grander level, if you want to put it in perspective. So I'm happy with this, to be honest with you. I'm very happy with what we're seeing today. It's just telling me that we're seeing something that's evolving even before it started evolving. Which to me is very important. It's very important to recognize this stuff before it even happens in real time. So that's the perspective that I have right now. I'm starting to look through the order blocks right now. Just for some evidence, and then I'll start looking at the comments. We'll start to open this up just a little bit more. And I don't know, I wanna do this in a way that makes a lot of sense to everybody. So I don't just want to rush into it. I'm actually looking through this morning for a reason. And I appreciate everybody, even if you have patience this morning. And let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to know what you think in the comments. Do you think we're on point? Do you think the movement we're seeing now actually validates what we're seeing within the market structure? Or do you think these are more fake outs? I mean, there's no wrong answer here this morning. You know, there's no wrong answer. Um, from my perspective, anyhow, there's no wrong answers. The only wrong answer is to kind of ignore what's happening and then be afraid of what's happening. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. There's a lot of tricky stuff going on in the market, and I don't blame anybody for being a little nervous, to be honest. So just don't be defined by your anxiety. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to be defined by our anxiety, but we can certainly take advantage of what we're seeing. So to say I'm excited is an understatement, honestly. But I'm intrigued. How about that? I'm intrigued. And I think we can do a lot of good. I think we can do a lot of good. The order books are starting to build up for V-Chain too, so I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll continue to try to enlighten you the best I can and try to build your knowledge base in all of these lives. I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but I'm definitely going to try. And then for XDC, looking at it, XDC I think looks good too. I think from a standpoint, well, I mean, it's not a guarantee, but XDC seems to be behind, so, you know, I don't hate that at all. I don't hate when things are behind. In fact, I think it gives us an opportunity to look into what could be coming. If you're just asking for my opinion, you may not be, but that's just my interpretation of what I'm seeing. So good luck with everything. Don't get too overzealous, because, you know, obviously in a bear market things can turn around very quickly, but right now, I mean, we're in that bullish little spike opportunity, so I don't know. I think it's grand right now, and I'm not going to hide from it. I'm going to try to grab it by the balls here. So let's see if V-Chain does have some kind of movement here. XRP looking great right now, up to $1.4382. At least on the one chart, it's spiking up pretty quickly. Algo's moved up really nicely. IOTA's up 4%. The total's up 3.7. But here, let me turn on comments. I have no idea how many people are here. I actually found this very majestically refreshing to go through this and not have to look at the comments. Not that I hate everybody or anything like that, but I think I was able to build my own narrative, and now you guys are going to come into my world. So it's better for me to talk with you and not at you, for sure. But yeah, let's see now. Let's just see what we can come up with here as the morning continues. Bitcoin's up to 71,429. We're looking to pull up towards that 72.5 to 73K area. And I think that's a very important box that we need to pay attention to. So we will. We will continue to pay attention to that area. If you're looking for XRP, I wouldn't necessarily chase the green candle, but it is very volatile right now. So the only thing you could do to look for an opportunity would be, it's tricky right now because of how far we've come up. So now you could have a little, you know, a tiny tug here. But yeah, some things I would look at. I would start looking at V-Chain because it is, in my opinion, it's starting to build out in the 3-hourly, but it looks like it's still lagging pretty far behind some of the other token narratives here. Daily's starting to push up a little bit, but it hasn't done much in comparison to, like, if you go to XLM, look how far that's pushed up. If you look at XRP, and they're in very similar rotations. So that's why I like to look at these in a little bit of a comparison. XRP's almost up to the 200-day now in the 4-hourly. XLM, I dare say, is getting pretty close as well. With that fantastic movement, it's over the 4-hourly. XDC's well behind, so it's still building what could be a hammer in the 4-hourly, which would be the preemptive before the next move. V-Chain's well below the 200-day. So we'll see if we get that nice movement as well. How far below the 200 is V-Chain, out of curiosity? So about the movement that you've had out of XLM is about how far away V-Chain is away. So let's see if it can match some of this movement. XDC is probably the farthest away from the 200-day. There's no doubt about that. It's about 10% away, so it's definitely lacking that move so far. We still have that that narrative in our minds and brains that we can come up to that C wave, which is very much on my mind still. So I want to see how this plays out uniformly. I want to see if XRP can break out here, which would be phenomenal. I love seeing what XLM's doing. Being up better, it's leading the charge right now. There's no doubt about that. I'm happy to see that. I like what Algo's doing. I like the fact it's up 7.2%, trying to come up to the 200. So everything's kind of speaking to the fact that it's trying to come up to that 200-day in the 4-hourly, which is a great sign because we're moving up to that upper resistance area across the board. So that only gives us more clarity with XRP, in fact. Good morning, Bright Future Freedom, Dan Marginal, Mr. Stop, Mrs. Stop, William. Let's see. Who else is 6 months? Bad Guy. Thanks for being 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Mark Caston, the Cannabis Podcast. Thanks for being a very trusted mod. Mick Shoot, UK Phil, Crazy Pole. And the Cannabis Podcast, also a very trusted mod. Thank you guys for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year. We got Skills in here along with the Relly. Good morning to both of you. Logical Point, totally awesome. XRP, John Hawes. We continue to pray for your son who is in active deployment right now. Let's see. Scott Lowry, thank you for being part of Tom's Army, the aforementioned, for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. We've got Chuck in here along with John Allen. Good morning, and Silver Days included. Alex Carbonelli, good morning. Let's see. Lord of Drink also in here along with Creamy Goodness. Good morning to all of my friends. Miss Jan, welcome and love. Thanks for being a very trusted mod in here as well, along with, I believe I seen Trading with J-Ride maybe in here. Maybe not. No, Miss Jan, 4+ years with the XRP Phoenix badge. Crypto Cooter, thanks for being a very trusted mod in Tom's Army over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Jay Frimix, thanks for your 2nd month with the Dust Out House Crypto News, along with CFD Adam. Tim Rain, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your 1st month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And also Dan for your 2nd month with the Dust Out House Crypto News. Garrus, thanks for your 1st month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Just send it 6+ months with the XP Predictor. So now that we're caught up there, let's continue. I don't know how long it took me. 32 minutes. I think I'm going to start doing it like this more because I was able to get through my points. I was able to not get sidetracked. And now we've got this in a very, very, very fluent way of what we think could happen this morning and the possibilities of opportunities that could present themselves as the days go on. But we also have to understand that if this movement continues this volatilely, it lines up perfectly with the CPI data. So could this be setting up to come grab the liquidity over the top before that? Only time will tell. But Bitcoin right now, if we want to continue the narrative, Bitcoin is trying to invalidate a right shoulder. And the only way to do that is to come past this neckline and start breaking past 73 and ultimately taking out 74. And then we can invalidate this possibility of a right shoulder here. So let's see if we can do that. Georgia Stone Rider, thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Bearded Viking, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. And thank you so much for your continued support. We continue to pray for Mighty Marcus for his continued healing as he continues to fight the good fight, and your sanity and sanity for you and your wife as well. We really appreciate both of you. CJ2 Pilot, thanks for being in Tom's Army over 2 years with the XP589 Moon Badge. Morning, everyone. Tom, I'm having to watch classes at night, but still there. I love it, CJ2 Pilot. And that's why they're put out in the way they are. So if you can't watch it in real time, you can absolutely watch it at any moment that is available for you. So in each phase is their own phase, so you don't have to be there in real time. They all break off into their own sections. We started with the DNA of money. We went through the wealth generation or wealth preservation versus generation, and now we're into the major players in the markets, whether it's the institutional, central banks, market makers, and retail. Each level is defined by the one below them, and the central banks controls it all at the end of the day. And I hope you were interested with the new phase that we started yesterday in class 11. Tomorrow will be class 12, and if you're interested, there's a link in the video description below and or pinned comments of this very discussion, active discussion in the live chat. You just click on the live mastery classes, And there's so much more. There's so much more. Bright future as well. We continue to pray for you as well. I believe it was your mother-in-law who is dealing with the good fight, who's fighting the good fight. And we pray for you and your wife and your entire family for that speedy recovery, or the best possible outcome with the least amount of pain possible. That's what we really want. We want the least amount of pain as we go through these very difficult times. I actually stopped smoking cannabis as well, as some of you know. I tried it for a day or two again, but I just don't like it anymore with all the chemicals and stuff. I even found an organic grower, but I can tell it's not 100% organic. It's better than what most do, but it's not proper. So I'm gonna hold off on smoking cannabis until I can grow it myself in the summer. But I'm just gonna do the RSO oils, the Rick Simpson oil, because I'm acting as if I'm fighting the good fight and I'm allowing my body to kill bad cells. I take fenbenzynol. I do the ivermectin, but I found it's called well, you have to find a doctor, and it's easier to do it through a virtual doctor, and then they can find, if they have a pharmacy, they can do it based on your weight and things like that, so you get the proper dosing. I take it every other day, so today's the day that I'm going to take, but Anixia Specialty Pharmacy, it's in New Jersey, so that's one. It's a couple $100 for 30 pills, though. Insurance doesn't touch it. I don't have insurance anyhow, so that doesn't even matter. So just, I'm trying to do the protocol, and the RSO is a big part of it. So I'm trying to kill off bad cells, and things like that, because we're all susceptible to fatty tissue tumors. We all have them, whether you know it or not. They're everywhere in your body. They just build through injury and things like that. So, and you want them to stay encapsulated. That's why you don't necessarily want them removed, because then it pushes. But this isn't a health show, so let's not continue with that. But anyhow, what I found is you have to go through, and I found a specialty doctor that deals with it. And it's through, let's see what the name of it was. Sorry, it's back in my database. If it's even still in my database. What was her name? That's a good question. I don't mind answering questions. Her name is Dr. Marlo Picardo. But I want to give you where I found her at. And it's basically you go through an online thing. You're not going to an actual, well, she's a doctor, MD, but you're not going into a doctor's office because they're not going to prescribe it. You have to find specialty ones that actually deal with this kind of stuff, which it can be difficult, believe me. Let's see if I can find her. So I'd like to give you the exact name since you asked. So I'm basically doing a protocol as if I am afflicted with cancer and things like that. Some people don't agree with it, but it suited me well so far. I don't know. You never know. Oh, yeah, it's through Push Health. So go to pushhealth.com, and you can find her now. Insurance isn't going to cover the ivermectin, but it's going to cost it cost me about $170 for 30 tablets. Like I said, every other day. I take the fenbenzynol every day for as long as I want to do it. Fenbenzynol, I love it. You might notice yourself breaking out as the parasites die. Your skin starts to break out a little bit, which is something you'll have to deal with. But the proper protocol is fenbenzynol, ivermectin, and then mixed with RSO, and it has a 3-tier approach. 3-prong, so to say. I've been watching my diet a lot more and things like that, so. Yeah, but I don't like the horse paste because it's not for proper weight. And 2, they've been messing with that because they know everybody's buying it. When everybody starts buying it off of Amazon, You know, it's not as pure. I know a lot of people take it, um, but I don't personally like to do that. I like to take stuff that's denoted to your weight because I don't know what's in the paste. I only know I know what's in the actual medication I get because they have to put it down on a list. But they're starting to add polysorbate 80 into some of those things that we can get on Amazon. So just be cautious. Um, but yeah, I would never take chemo anyhow. Chemo is just one annotation away from a chemistry standpoint from Agent Orange. So basically, you're getting killed with Agent Orange, and that's what ends up killing most people. Don't die from the cancer or tumors; they actually die from the treatment. It's a fact. So I'm not telling you the pace isn't fine. I'm telling you my personal what I want to do. Um, do you want to trust an India Mart website, or do you want to trust a freaking pharmacy that does it? So, um, I'm just giving you what I know. You don't have to take it. I'm not judging anybody for taking a pace. I'm just saying I feel more comfortable because how much are you getting in the pace milligram wise? Do you know? I'm just curious about it. How many milligrams is the pace? And I can't really talk a lot about this. They'll censor my well, it doesn't even matter. They only recommend me 1.6%, which is embarrassing. Um, so what is the milligram dosage in the pace? Just out of curiosity. Because I'm about 175 pounds with my muscle. And I can tell you what my recommended dosage is when they actually do it. And then you can compare it to see if you're getting the actual amount. Oh, your wife is listening? Bright Future Freedom. Excellent. Oh, I understand where you guys are getting it. You do. I know exactly what you do. You take the tube and you use it. Um. So I'm just curious. Does anybody know the milligram in the? I mean, I can look it up. But what's the milligram dosage? Is it even possible? Like, what is it in the actual um ivermectin that you get? I'm honestly curious because I can tell you how much is in mine. I know it's super hard, bearded Viking, and you're caught in the middle. Um, but still no answer. I understand that you have to do it for your own dosage. In one of those tubes, how much comes into it, not what you're modifying it for. I just want to know how much comes in the tube. A lot of you are taking the tube of ivermectin. I would love to know. It's for my own studies. Well, anyhow, for me, the recommended dosage for me at my weight is 16 milligrams. And you can take it daily. I take it every other day. Um, absolutely, Elmer. I agree with that. Um, but anyhow, people are gonna. I guess it doesn't even matter if people leave. We're having a core discussion here about our health. Um, 6.08 grams at 1.78%. So what does that come into milligrams? Yours is 17 milligrams. Okay, excellent. Excellent. That's a good amount. 17 milligrams in the tube will get the job done. That'll get the job. I was just making sure. And the tube is about, how much is it per tube? How much? Because this will let me get a nice average of about how much it costs for the paste versus, getting a pharmacy to do it. Obviously, you need to find a specialty pharmacy, otherwise they won't do it. But the shoulda, coulda, woulda. Hey man, the CRCL stock just keeps going up every day until it doesn't. But yeah, everybody should be invested if something's going up, but nobody's watching it. It's not that easy. So it costs you in comparison 10 bucks per, which is equal to one of my pills. So in comparison, you're spending over $300. And I was talking about how it's so interesting. So yeah, it's truly expensive to try to take control. I mean, it is what it is. XRP now, remember we talked about that retracement possibly down to 141 to try to see the 50% retracement again though. We're in that box zone, so now we're trying to see if we come back down through it. So, but yeah, what I've been doing is I've been mixing the fenbenzenol. And the fenbenzenol is easy because the way it's marketed, it's pretty easy because with the fenbenzenol, don't overdose it, but you want 222 milligrams. That's it. 22.2% at 222 milligrams. You know, and it's very simple. It's expensive because 3 of them will cost you 15 to 17 bucks. But, you know, we got to do something for our health, and we got to somehow try to figure out how to keep the parasites down, how to give ourselves the proper environment to succeed. Ooh, I didn't even think about that, Elmer J. Fight a health ranger. That's great. That's great, actually. And notice Merck and they're not gonna advertise it to the humans, but they have to advertise it in some way. $350 doses for $10. I'm not sure how that makes sense, to be honest with you. But I'll take your word for it. I'll take your word for it. Absolutely bright future. I agree with that. The amount of money people pay and spend on surgery thing or sugary things will be plenty to pay for your health once you cut it off. Absolutely. Once you cut it out. I can tell you I feel so much better. I feel so much better since I've dropped. Well, you guys know how I looked when I first started. I wasn't extremely fat, but I was bigger than I wanted to be. I was probably about 200 pounds when I started this show. No muscle. And now after almost 4 years now, you know, I've completely reformatted my way of living. I fast every day, 16 hours a day, because that's a good way for cellular repair and just overall taking out bad stuff. And then I do a lot of different stuff. I like the fenbenzenol, and I like taking colloidal silver, and I like taking, and by the way, someone sent me Blue Ridge colloidal silver, and it was phenomenal from the audience, and I can't thank you enough. Yeah, fasting definitely is supposed to kill the parasites as well. And it helps break down a lot of bad things in your body. The muscle that I've gained doing all of this, I mean, to be honest with you, I say it every day. I can't believe that's my arm. I can't believe I look this way. It's actually been an incredible journey. So I honestly can't believe this is me when I look at it. But it's been a lot of work. You know, today I did an hour and a half working out. And it's a lot of work. I broke my back when I was 23. NAD is the shit. I'll show you what I use. Oh, man. And as you guys know, I like to take drops. But I take NAD Plus as well. But it comes with the one that I have has taurine, fisetin, resveratrol, and dinocleotide with the nicotinamide adenine, but that with the NAD plus. I love this stuff. I always use drops though. I don't use anything else. I like Clean Neutral because they don't add any bullshit into their ingredients. A lot of the other companies will add, like, you'll look at it and there's sucralose, and they'll add some other red and blue dyes, and it really pisses me off. Because a lot of people that are taking health supplements don't even realize um, if you if you ever look into your supplements, proteins and all that stuff, for whatever reason they're marketed as health supplements, but they put in a lot of the red, yellow, blue dyes. They also put in a lot of additives and fillers that aren't good for you, like sucralose and other fake sugars. You don't want any of that. You know, that those are the things that cause the underactive thyroids and cancers, all the even real sugars. I would prefer you to have a real sugar than a fake sugar. Like, I would honestly rather you eat a bag of chips than go out and eat a diet soda or drink a diet soda or something with diet sugars in it. Because the sugars, in my opinion, those are the artificial things that are really, really hurting us. You know, the artificial sugars are what kill you. That's why they promote Diet Pop. Oh, drink all you want. It has no calories. I got a secret for you. The Diet Pop will make you fatter than you already were because your body misreads it. Yeah, there might not be any calories, but that fake sugar turns into what you don't want it to, a big gook. Aspartame, absolutely horrible. Aspartame, sucralose, all of those fake shitty sugars. That's why I make my own protein. That's why I have to buy a whey protein isolate from Isopure. It has no carbs. The only ingredients is the whey protein isolate. That's it. There's your ingredient list. Um, oh, and if this has collagen, if something you buy too. But yeah, and then I have to mix it myself. It is what it is. And for some of you who like this conversation, I encourage you to take control of your health, because after all, we can't be good traders if we're not healthy. You know, we can't take care of business if we're not in good shape. You know, I was 265 pounds growing up, so I know what it's like. Kraken shut down. I was just on Kraken, and it was absolutely tradable, unless they just shut it down. Yeah, I'm on Kraken Pro. It's not shut down on mine. But that's on Kraken Pro. If you're not on Kraken Pro, I guess it could be different. But it's letting me, I could buy and sell right now. If I wanted to sell out my XDC or V chain, I could do it right now. So it's open for me. And I'm nobody special. I don't have any special perks on Kraken, except I pay um for the Kraken Pro, which I think everybody should. Steak and eggs. Steak and eggs, great meal. Yesterday I made a steak on the barbecue. The porterhouses I found pretty good deal at a couple different places. So I made me and Julie a porterhouse, and I'm very basic. I like to have like the porterhouse steak for the protein or some kind of steak. And I don't put a lot of stuff on it. I don't like to mess with the food. I like to eat it in its natural state. So I'm not one who puts a lot of seasonings and stuff. And then I make mashed potatoes, and I put some butter in it because I like butter. And it gives you butter actually has a lot of good things in it. They just misrepresent what butter is. But there's actually a lot of things your body needs in butter. Obviously, it's high in calories, but I'll sacrifice the calories after all. So I like to have like my mashed potatoes. I really like corn, sweet corn, and things like that. So I'll have mashed potatoes, some sweet corn, and my steak. And then I get my carbs. I get my proteins, because you need carbs to rebuild. Carbs is very essential for muscle rebuilding and your actual. So anyhow, I like that. And then a big part of my meal too is, if I'm not eating that, I like to eat rice. But it has to be Uncle Ben's, because Uncle Ben's to me tests out the best plastic wise. Always has, always will. So I'll do a little bit of butter in my Uncle Ben's, and then I'll have chicken or steak with it, and that's a great meal for me. Sometimes I'll make a Caesar salad, but I never use all the dressing, and I never use the cheese they give you. I always grate my own. I gotta grab the mail. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. I just wanted to grab the mail. But what a great live. This has been the exact kind of live I want. I think the energy is going back to the exact way that we really need to have it. We're in together with everybody. Aaron says, last June I was able to do a 9-day fast with just water and electrolytes and a few supplements. Hunger was non-existent after 3 days. It's possible. It's all mental. Yes, it is, but you got to remember though, if you're building muscle, you can't just do you got to have some kind of. There are reasons why you need to have certain amount of carb content and protein content and calories. It all depends on everybody's objective. I went the most I did was I got sick during the blah blah blah, and this is when I cut out a lot of the bad fads when this happened. I went 5 days without eating, and I literally drank water. But I was probably dehydrated in a way too. But I went 5 days, and that was what changed it all. That's when I started the 16-hour a day fast from that day, after the 5th day of fasting. So I was able to get my entire body reset. Actually, it was into 6 days, but that's the longest I've ever done. I wanted to get through the 72-hour fast, and I got over 100 and something hours, which was awesome. That was the last time. Like, I would hit a cigarette every now and then, very rarely, but I would. Haven't done that since then in 2020 or 2021 when that happened. Actually, it was when I first started doing my show on here. I was really sick. So no, he didn't. They can say they fasted 42 days on just water, but he didn't. I can guarantee you that. They take artificial supplements too, so don't believe everything you read. If you go try to fast for 42 days with just water, you're going to die. Or you're going to not be very well. Kevin James did not do it the way he says. I can guarantee you that. 100% guarantee it. For 42 days, it's not happening. He was on Ozempic, and he covered it with a big fast. I agree with that. But he didn't do it for 42 days. I guarantee you that. This is my area of expertise. I don't believe he did that for a second. I know he did what he did for his sick daughter, but I don't believe he did 42 days. I think that's a stretch. It is what it is. You're not, unless if you're saying he did a partial fast after a number of days, there's no way. I know, I watched the same thing with Joe Rogan. I watched it with Joe Rogan, though, as much as I like him, he's controlled opposition. They all are. There's a reason they got to where they're at. You know, they have to sell a side of their soul. You know, I love Joe Rogan, but it's true. Everybody in that position is. But anyhow, I don't want to go down that path. That's just going to get us down the path of me going down the path of, hey, let's be judgmental. We're talking apples to oranges. You're talking about a big fat guy who's trying to do it with no basic fitness. If you want to talk about Jesus compared to Kevin James, that's a whole nother conversation. Jesus did it by doing it for his entire life and building into a moment like that. Kevin James just went from a 500 or 400 pound guy, and then all of a sudden he's just able to do that. I don't agree with it. But that's just me. I know what Hollywood does, so I don't believe a damn thing they say, period. You forgot to mention well, I don't even want to go down that. See, that's where I don't want to go down, because then my darkness comes out, and I don't want to go dark. So, last things I'm going to say about the crypto market while we're together. Right now, the 30-minute consolidated nicely. We've reiterated ourselves. We've reevaluated what's going on. The next move up for Bitcoin would be to come back up to 73K. Or we need to try to invalidate this right shoulder, which it's the make it or break it moment right now. So we do need to, we're going to watch this to see if Bitcoin in fact invalidates this. If we get over 73, we're starting to talk. When you see it over 74, we're cooking to that 82,000 likely, that big liquidity zone. So like I keep saying, there's massive opportunity. It's just you've got to find the right moments to do it. You don't want to get caught up in a moment where you got left behind and now all of a sudden you're panicking and you're trying to overreach for the market. So that's something. Yeah, a lot of the scripture is it's been messed with a little bit. We don't know how accurate the numbers are, but it is a symbolic number. I agree with that. John Bugathorpe, and thanks for being in Town Center for over 2 years with the XP 589 Moon badge. Just got Kraken back, but they are delisting a few things. We'll be in and out until Thursday. Just giving New Yorkers heads up if it's only us. What are they delisting, Richard? I would love to know, Richard. And thanks for being in Town Center for over 1 year at the I Told You So badge. I would love to know. I didn't even know that they were. Well, I'm not in New York, so I'm not privy to that because I'm in Michigan. Let's see. Hey, Tom, I've done a 60-day water fast. Had to have salt water, but I did it. Interesting. Very interesting. That's a good. All the power to you, Mina. That's a long, long stretch. Long, long stretch. Very interesting. Takes a lot of mental preparation as much as physical as well. Kudos to you. Hey, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying take some preparation, that's for sure. Hey, Logical Patriot, thanks for the $1.99 super chat. Says I'm not working free today. Appreciate not working for free. I love the pay it forward mentality. I do. I do. For anybody who's watching this and you want to, maybe level it up a little bit, consider joining the live classes. We started phase 3. Each phase is their own phase, so you don't have to be a part of the other phases to learn on the current phase. You can watch it in real time during the lives, 12 to 1 p.m. during the live Zoom classes that you can watch through YouTube. Phase 3 is the market ecosystem. Who are the players? Retail, institutional, market makers, and central banks. It shows you the proper categorization. Give you a lot of information. We went through a nice full hour yesterday. We went through phase 2, 5 phases within phase 2. We had to do it 5 parts, but that was the purpose of investing, wealth preservation, first generation, and the images tell you exactly what you're going to be expected to learn, and then there's more obviously than just that. And then we started with phase 1, which these will be broken down into different phases. Phase 1 was the DNA of money and the great transitioning. And there's so much stuff that we go through here that it's so beneficial if you'd like to level up your own learning. It's so awesome. Hey, go see if you can find video 1 wouldn't let me. What do you mean? Let's see. Video 1 isn't on here. I wonder why that is. I didn't even realize that, to be honest with you. Interesting. I may have to go back and look why class 1's not on there. That's interesting. Very interesting. I mean, class 1 isn't the most important because it was kind of just a get together, but I still don't know why it's not there. I have no idea. That is unbelievably interesting. I know on the first class, YouTube was trying to block it, so there was a lot of problems. And we recovered a lot of it in class 2. I mean, I went even deeper. Class 1 was kind of to get the feel, but you're not really missing anything from class 1. It was just kind of the first walkthrough and an introduction. I'll have to look at that. There might not be any way to get that back, unfortunately. Well, we'll take it with grace of what we can get. It's under the live category. Okay. Oh, so maybe it's saved in the wrong category. Let me go back and see. Yes, it did. No, there's class 8. Class 7. Oh, so maybe it just put it in here instead of the other category. Let me see. Here's class 1. So let me... Okay, so you have to go to the live classes. That's interesting. Or to the live. Huh. I wonder why that is. So at least it's on there. You have to go through the live classes. Or through the live section and scroll down. Unfortunately. That's probably because of all the problems it had when I was trying to put it out, that first one. Let's see. Yeah, see, it won't even let me edit it. I told you there was a big error with this one for some reason. Let's see if I can get into it like this. See? For some reason, it's not, it won't let me edit anything with that one. But yeah, go into the members only live and then you'll at least be able to find that as well. That's great. Thanks for you guys sharing that. I really appreciate that, Jeffer. So Bright Future, make sure you go look at that. You did it for your eye health. Excellent, Mina. Glad to hear that. I'm glad it worked for you too. That's excellent. I'm gonna get going though, guys. Pay attention to everything I said in the live. XDC's up about 1% since we talked about it, so it's starting to move up a little bit. Seems to be a little bit behind. If the market continues to move in the fashion it is, I think VeChain's well behind. XDC's well behind if the market does move. It's nice to see the last couple of 30-minute candles. It's starting to try to push back up. So it won't even let me re-download it. It won't let me save it. It won't let me download it. And for some reason there's an error with that video now. We can watch it, but there's an error. I'm not sure. No, it wouldn't necessarily hurt with the statistics. I'm not worried about the views or anything on it. I just want to make sure everybody can get to it. Like I said, it's not going to hurt you by not seeing the first video. I cover it way more in the second video and then each of the videos following the same section. It was just more of an intro to what you would be expecting and things like that. So it's not going to hurt anything if you don't watch that first one. In fact, if there was one not to watch, it'd probably be the first one because that's when I was learning the system and getting back to being a live teacher in Zoom classes. 4 hourly with VeChain 2 is picking up volume at least. So I don't know. We'll see if we get a reversal or not here with the market or if we continue out here. This would be the time of volatility. So be blessed. I'm going to go clear my head. Remember that there's that short video of about 10 minutes that you can watch and things like that. And I'm glad we were able to have this discussion. Be blessed, everybody. And it's always